Here are the three universal curets that you have in your kit. We have the SBH 1-2, which is flexible and it's longer, so it's a little more thin at the tip. Then we've got the Columbia 13-14, which is a little bbit shorter. And then the 4R 4L, which is a little more rigid of universal curet. So we're going to use the SBH 1-2 for starting out learning the curet because you have been using the 11-12 Extended Explorer, and this is the most like the Extended Explorer in shape. Our end selection is going to be the same. We're going to take a look at the lower shank being parallel to the posterior surface we're working on. The one thing that's different with this is that we've got to be working at an angulation of 60 to 80 degrees. We have a blade, so we've got where the face meets the lateral side is the cutting edge. So when we are working with the cutting edge, we're going to have to be working with lateral pressure, which is something we weren't working with the 11-12 Extended Explorer. We just had very light pressure to be able to guide that instrument around the tooth. Now we're going to be having to work with lateral pressure. We are still going to check the end the same way. And remember in class we said that 60 to 80 degrees is the optimum working angulation. So we want to see it leaned into the tooth. We're making the angle because this particular curet is 90 degrees face to shank. So we have to make that angle. If I just have it parallel, then I'm at a 90-degree angle. If I go more than 90, so out, which of course we wouldn't do, there would be tissue trauma. The cutting edge, because this has two cutting edges, so the outside cutting edge would be in the tissue. If I lean it too far and I'm less than 45, then I could burnish any calculus that's there. So I just kind of go over the calculus and not remove it. And if I put it up to 90, I have to lean it in just slightly to make the 60 to 80 degree optimum working angulation. Another thing that we talked about is that there is a 0 to 40 degrees insertion. And in real life, a lot of the times the tissue will allow us to get in there and not have this more closed angulation. But we really want you to think about that's not always going to be the case. So we're going to go down 0 degrees, just like if this was my 0 degrees, or as close to it as possible, to slide nicely under the tissue, underneath the calculus deposit. Then we would come up on our fulcrum. I'm going right to that 60 to 80 degree optimum angulation. You could go to 90 and then lean yourself in slightly to make that, but I'm going right to the 60 to 90. I'm at the line angle. I'm facing into that distal. I am making some overlapping strokes into that distal as far as I can go. I can sometimes hear it, not always. We can hear it with the lateral pressure. I got to make sure, and this is one of my issues when I start to go, focus on other things. I want my thumb to be out. I want my instrument to be behind my knuckle. I want my fingers opposite each other and the side of my middle finger on the shank. Now, as I go in, I'm hearing it a little bit. I'm all the way in. I'm going to come out, I'm going to turn, I'm going to go under the tissue, and then I'm going to start to come across the buccal, and then I'm going to adapt around the mesial corner, leaning into that tooth surface, making overlapping strokes. Remember, we have to channel scale. We're not going to go in and have a one and done. If there is calculus on a real patient, we're going to go back into this area, go for the calculus, go back into this area, go again, go back into this area, and keep going until we have the calculus removed. And we're removing it with short overlapping strokes, and we're using channel strokes. So channel, 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 over and over till we remove the whole deposit. Again, if I go to the next tooth, and I'm showing you on 30 and 29 because those are the easier teeth to see it on, I go down, get around the calculus, stand up. I went right to my 60 to 80 degrees. I'm on the line angle, so now I'm going to make some strokes, overlap into that interproximal until I can't make any more strokes. Come out, turn on the short turn, and then come around underneath the tissue on the buccal, lean towards the mesial. See how I'm up on my fulcrum and I'm rocking on my fulcrum? When I go to the max, the difference is going to be I'm going to be using my opposite end, so still parallel into my hand, but I'm going to have my palm up. If I'm like this and trying to go, I have no power, and I've got to have power when I am trying to remove calculus. I will find my hand turned this way. Here's my fulcrum finger, nice and straight and solid and supportive, and I will end up with my middle finger almost on top of that fulcrum finger so that it buys me a little more room. I'm coming up like this, so I've got a little bit of a more closed angle to get in there. I stand up and then I start my strokes, and I'm doing a little bit of the digital motion. Now as I start coming here, I'm doing a little more rocking. I'm showing you above the gum tissue because I'm using the side of my tip third. And then I'm going around here and I'm back to my digital motion. Move to the next tooth. I don't want to be in the line of fire. And here, just my overlapping strokes, rocking and doing a little bit of my digital motion at the same time, so wrist and digital motion. Remember, when you are working on your near surfaces, you're sitting at 9 and your patient is mostly leaned away. So if I took my instrument from here, same end is over here, and I'm going to be cupping the chin. I'm going to come up this way and then lean myself down and make my strokes with my digital motion. And then I'm going to come around and I'm going to end up kind of rocking on my fulcrum finger. Everything has to do with my fulcrum finger and how my hand is maneuvering around on my fulcrum finger. And the quicker that someone realizes that that's the key thing, keeping that fulcrum finger solid, life becomes a lot easier. Sometimes I may need to move from my 9 o'clock position here at 9 to here at 9. So even just moving a little bit forward, I can see, and it changes things. So don't be afraid to move your position, because remember, it's me, it's my patient having their chin up versus their chin down. It's my equipment, make sure your light's correct, and then having your patient help you. So turning away, or when you move to 12 o'clock for the far, having them turn towards you. Hope that helps.